2, 1, boom. For people who don't know the story, Bob Lazar, Area 51, and flying saucers. You used to work at Area 51.
Well, we want to be accurate. Okay. Area S4, about 15 miles south of Area 51. You can call that a subset of area. Before that, I had worked at Los Alamos National Labs in New Mexico. Nuclear weapon development, physics. They do everything.
So how do they approach you?
Well, the way this went down was, at that time, it was 1982. I'd put a jet engine in my Honda. Los Alamos put it on the front page of the paper. Los Alamos man, physicist at the lab, built this 200-mile-an-hour Honda jet car. I drove to work every day. It was the day Edward Teller, the father of the hydrogen bomb, was giving a lecture down there at the lab. I went down there early, and Ed Teller was outside. I got a letter initially. Went down for an interview probably a couple times, and it was down at EG&D Special Project at McCarran Airport at that time. Advanced propulsion. It's in a remote area, some days on, some days off. The work schedule would be kind of broken up.
So take me back to first day on the job.
The first day was essentially just paperwork. That's when I flew into Area 51 proper.
When did things get weird? Like, at what point in time did you say, hey, this is not normal work?
The first inkling I had was there's this facility that is at S4. It's in the side of a mountain. There were hangar doors open. And in the hangar door was the disc, flying saucer that I worked on. I saw it sitting there, and we walked by it. It had a little American flag stuck on the side. And I thought, oh my God, this finally explains all the flying saucer stories. This is just an advanced fighter. This is fucking hilarious. I went by, I slid my hand alongside it. I got reprimanded immediately for touching the thing. There was an armed guard that followed us in, and keep your eyes forward and your hands at your side. That was the first time I had seen anything that was weird. It was sometime later that I was introduced to my lab partner, Barry. We had some of the subcomponents of the craft in the lab. Barry was very anxious to get a new lab partner. He was very talkative and couldn't wait to show me different things. It was in the demonstration of the reactor working, it caught my attention to where this is technology that doesn't even exist. That was the first time I knew that this is really something different.
What was it about this reactor that made you think that it didn't exist?
I actually have to back up because there were some briefings that I read before that certainly gave me the impression that this was going to be a weird job, but this was the first hands-on. This was a small reactor about the size of a basketball on a metal plate. When it was running, it produced a gravitational field of its own. Now this is something that we can't do. We can't produce any gravity. The only way we get gravity is from large quantities of mass. There's no machine we can have that turns on that makes gravity. You can turn on an electromagnet and it makes a magnetic field. We can't make a gravitational field. This device was producing that. Barry said, almost like he was bragging, go ahead, try and touch the sphere. And I couldn't. It pushed my hands away. Just like two like poles of a magnet. The closer you put them, the more they push. That connected me to the briefings that I read. The first day at S4, everything that I had read was apparently accurate. This project was to back engineer the alien craft. Specifically, it was to try and back engineer and see if we can duplicate the technology with available material. To do this, they split the project into many different pieces for several reasons. They do this on all classified projects. Nobody has the complete story. They compartmentalize everything. And we had the power and propulsion system. The briefings they gave me were a 1 or 2 page overview of some of the other projects that were going on the craft. The only reason they do that is just in case what you're working on is connected intimately in some way that we don't know of to one of the other projects. You have to know their existence. Again, everything from metallurgy to, weapon potential of the craft. Essentially very short briefing, but mine was just power and propulsion. It made it very clear that what I read was accurate.
What were your thoughts on what they were describing?
I didn't know at the time. I was reading, I thought this is some kind of test. A lot of times they'll take in real high security, they'll intentionally insert nonsense into it. Whether it's to confuse the fact or if for someone was to leak it out, they would carry that information along and know where it came from. The reactor can be turned on or turned off in a lot of different ways. The way Barry showed me, the hemisphere is removed. There's a small tower in the middle. When you put the hemisphere on, the reactor activates. There's no wiring that connects any of the subcomponents together whatsoever. They just have to be in the immediate vicinity. The stuff is borderline magic. There was some progress. We did identify, at least we think, some processes and had a rough idea, we think, of what was going on, but I think this is a problem that they've had for a long time. I was replacing somebody that Barry worked with prior to me, and I think there was some horrific accident that I didn't have a whole lot of information on, but Barry alluded to that.
A horrific accident, like where someone died, or?
Yeah, where somebody died.
Because they were trying to tamper with things or figure out how something worked?
Yeah, the reactor in particular. I think what they were trying to do was cut into one. They had more than one there, and supposedly there was an unannounced nuclear test. That's what it was. At the time, remember, they were still doing underground nuclear tests at the test site, according to Barry. Now, this must have been a pretty desperate attempt because it's not a very scientific process to analyze something that way. It looked like they used a plasma cutter to cut into an operating reactor.
How many of these things did they have?
They had 9 craft altogether. I only got hands-on with one of them, so I can't really say how the others operated.
Did you see the other ones?
Yeah, and only one time. The bay doors between the hangars were all open, and I could see all the way through.
Commander Fravor, he saw it. Other pilots saw it on the East Coast recently. Cubes. These are not aerodynamic, and these are the people we trust to defend us on 9/11. The United States government has admitted they have been continuously studying the UFO phenomenon. That program called AWSAP, George Knapp got that out. They announced to the New York Times about Advanced Aerospace Weapon Systems Applications Program. They said, what's this AAV thing? It's like they're making up another UFO name. Well, hold on, there's a reason. They call them AAVs, Advanced Aerospace Vehicles. So they changed the names to get people away from UFO. Like Hillary Clinton informed the public on Jimmy Kimmel, oh, Jimmy, we don't call them UFOs anymore. We call them UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena.
Any idea of how they got them?
At least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. It's old. At least one of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked that we have actual hardware from another civilization. It's a big fucking deal. Probably the biggest one there ever was. The only thing I could verify was what I had my hands on. There were weapon systems. Project Galileo, Project Sidekick was supposed to be weapon applications of the craft. Project Looking Glass had to do with time, any effects of time in the craft, intentional distortions of time.
How are you informed in this?
These, again, were just the small briefings that I read. What Commander Fravor saw as he was approaching it, he described it as a ping-pong ball in a cup and shaking it back and forth. Well, one of two things. There's a gravitational envelope in there which negates any inertia effect. Or you are seeing through a gravity distortion field. Just like you're looking at a hot highway, you see an optical distortion going through there. Well, the same thing happens in gravity, and the craft may not actually be moving like that. It may just look like it. The point is, though, that the craft moved to his next location before he knew where his next location was going to be.
Jesus.
I don't even know if it was metal or it was ceramic. I think there's a fine line between the two.
There's obviously been some sort of an effort to erase your past.
A lot less records on computers at that time. It was still file cabinets, and that was frightening. George Knapp was the first one that uncovered that. I mean, he saw my birth certificate disappear. If you look at all the information on, concerning my accounts, that's verifiable. It can't possibly be a bullshit story anymore.
Confirmed that he did security clearances for the base in 1989. Confirmed he remembers Bob Lazar. And what you don't know is there's a handwritten note a friend of yours has.
What?
But that is real. That is actual. So
A handwritten note that says what?
This is new to me.
So
I don't
money out of
get
this.
any money out of this at all. And I didn't even let you guys buy plane tickets for me to come out here. Anytime, like when Jeremy previewed, it brought in like a couple $1,000. I made sure that $2,000 went to science programs at the local high school. I don't take any money from this stuff. And as far as attention, I hate fucking attention. So I got enough hugs when I was a kid, okay? I don't need any attention. So,
Like you said, that you have donated whatever money that came your way to science programs. I know that you have paid a huge personal cost to get this information out. I just want to thank you for that. And thank you for all these people that would not have gotten this information.
well, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.